Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to be going over the parameter effects in FMOD. We're going to be changing and altering those values in Unreal Engine to achieve a very cool sound design possibility. And I'm going to start off with a water example. This is a piece of audio that I have. What it is it's just water. And it's a single layer sound, but we're going to kind of keep it simple here. Let's right click, it's in our assets, we'll right click and we'll go create event. And just for the sake of ease, this will be a 2D event. Create that, and we'll go into our events here. We'll click on that. This is our piece of audio, essentially. I want to set up a loop region, and I want this to kind of play over and over again. This is by default loop, or it's quite loop friendly. This is just for the sake of example. We'll get into some deeper video game sound design in further videos if these videos are interesting to people. But yeah, let's actually create a loop region for this here. So I'll right click and I will add loop region here. And I'm going to select the entire part here. So to make sure I select everything, see that little yellow dot there? That means that I've effectively went to the edge of that audio file there, and this as well, right? The little dot there, boom. And yeah, this will loop in perpetuity forever. Right, just a seamless-ish loop going on there. So we need to add an effect to this. Brief kind of theory of how sound travels through space is higher frequencies of sound get absorbed more easily than lower frequencies of a sound. So if you drive by a dance club, you hear just the bass, whoom, 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 right? Because those higher frequencies are being absorbed by the walls, the people, the concrete, and all that fun stuff. But the lower frequencies are, the wavelengths are kind of further apart, so they can kind of pass through things more easily. Same goes with water. If you run a bath right now and you dunk your head underwater, the higher frequencies will be attenuated because you are underwater. So let's kind of mimic that. We do that with a filter, but we're going to use, no, actually, yeah. We'll use a filter here. So we're going to go and select audio 1, which is the lava flow. And we have the pre-fader and post-fader effects. Let's just go pre-fader, add effect, FMOD depreciated. There's the low pass here. Kaboom. So this is essentially for budding video game sound designer people. This is a very useful tool. What this will do is this will attenuate the higher frequencies, right? It'll make the lower sounds pass through the filter more easily than the higher frequencies, depending on where you set it. So check this out. Right, and yeah, let's give it yeah, let's add an effect. Let's give it a bit more something rather. So this is a multi-band EQ. I'll have it before the fader. This is just going to be for making things sound neat. I can actually use this as the cutoff. Same thing, but yeah, let's add B, and we'll do a peaking. Give it a little bit of low end, right? Right, so there's a little bit of a click in there that bothers me, but whatever. This kind of is when your character is above water in like a cave or something, and then when your character is underwater, right? And there's obviously be more layers there, like the whoosh of the swimming, and things like that. Water carries energy very easily, so when you're underwater, volume of things kind of goes up. That's just how it works. You don't want to be in the water when a bomb goes off, because the transfer of energy will get to you more efficiently than in air. So when you're programming your game, keep that in mind. Or if you're ever going boom fishing or something. First time I've ever mentioned boom fishing in a video. But anyway, so we have this low pass here, and we want to control it in Unreal Engine when our character moves around. So we need to essentially create a parameter, right? So parameters live right here, and I want the cutoff to be, 850 or whatever, 9 hertz. No, sorry, 900 hertz when the player is underwater, and I want it, fully open when the player is outside of water, right? So how would we go about doing that? Well, I've already selected the filter here, but that's a preset, so that can be kind of mapped to everything essentially. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that. So let's create a new preset, and I'm going to call it. I'll click on this little plus tab here, not this one, but the plus tab here. I'm going to select a new parameter. Let's say this one is underwater. I'll just call it underwater, and I'll make it lowercase just in case it's case sensitive. So we have underwater here, and the range, we're going to set it to user continuous. This is just how I like to work. It makes things easy in Unreal Engine. You want it to be a float, a range between 0 and 1. So, and this just makes things easy. So float value between 0 and 1 is very easy to work with. It can be 0 is off, 1 is on, right? And then 0.5 is 50%, 0.25 is 25%. Makes things easy. It's easy to do that. And yeah, we'll just set the initial value to 0, and we'll leave all of this. Don't worry about that. But let's keep it to a float for now. So, kaboom, there it is. So, what do we do now? Well, we just have to remember where we are. So we have the timeline tab here with our sound effect, and then we have the underwater parameter here. And we can have a bunch of different parameters. We're just going to stick with the one here. And the parameter, right, underwater is right here. And we can kind of test it out. It's 0, 1, 0, 1, right? And this is kind of what we're going to be playing around with within Unreal Engine. So let's figure that out. So I want to actually select this here, and I'm going to show you that later. Okay, so there's the cutoff. This is the cutoff that we want to adjust, right? So I want to right-click on this and then add automation, right? You want to select add automation in the parameter tab. Add automation. Okay, so what is this thing, right? Well, at the top here, we have the float value, 0.0, and then all the way up here is 1. And then we can move that back and forth here. And this corresponds with where we are in that value. So let's select the low pass here. We'll double click that, or just single click. And remember, I always said I wanted the start point to be like 800, 900 hertz. Let's listen to that. Right, and then I want the fully open all the way to 1 to be, fully open. So I'll click there, and then I'll just move that up, right? You can see the automation cutoff there. Don't look at that. So what we've effectively done is we've made, a value. See, look at the cutoff there. What we've done is we've made when it's 0, it's 900 hertz. We moved it all the way down to the bottom. It would be, we'd have to do some fancy stuff, right? So this is the absolute lowest value that I want. And then that is 0, and then all the way open, it's all the way open. And we can add curves there and all sorts of really cool stuff, right, for something we're going to do now. So let's build this. We're going to build this, and this is going to be loaded into our Unreal Engine. So open up the map, and we'll go to FMOD, and oh, actually, I didn't add that to a bank. So I need to right-click on this, and then add it to a bank, a new bank, and I'll call this the swimming. Right? So this is everything that is related to swimming is in this bank. So it makes things easier. So you can load banks, and you can load an entire bank into memory when it's appropriate. It's like, hey, there's a water level coming up. Let's load all that. That's essentially what's going on, and it just eases on. You don't want to stream all of that. Well, you can, but it's good practice to do all that fun stuff. So lava flow is in our swimming bank, and I'll just rebuild again. Right. So if you have an event that's not in a bank, it will not show up in Unreal Engine. It has to be in a bank because it loads the bank, and then the banks tell everything what to do. It propagates outward. So let's look at events. And there's a bunch in here, but yeah, let's go lava flow. Let's open it up. And oh, actually, hold on. Did I build it? I think I did, yeah. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Lava flow, open that, boom. Okay, let's hit play. And then nothing. So let's do a little bit of debugging. I think what I did was, I did this before with the same value. And maybe, yeah, there's that. That's in swimming. FMOD, the banks, swimming. Okay, that's there. I'm going to actually, because I think I had it the same name as before. When I was kind of testing this out, I'm actually going to rename this. So we'll just call it underwater. Sounds like an appropriate name. So I'll build that. Just because I think I deleted something the wrong way. So there's that. So now, yeah, underwater. Look at that. And auto-activated. Right, so there you go. So that's in there. What I want to do is I want to go... yeah, I'll have that auto-activated just for the sake of the video. So yeah, there we go. Check this out. This is essentially what's going on here. Right, because that FMOD file is in our level. Let's actually make a blueprint out of this, because I actually want to create a trigger box that when we enter, it'll sound like we're underwater, and then when we leave, it'll sound like we're out of water. So let's do that. I've selected the underwater FMOD ambient sound, and then I will add blueprint script, and we'll just call it underwater blueprint, just for the sake of example. I want to go to add component, and I add a billboard, because I want to be able to see this in rendering. I want to uncheck hidden in game, and I'll compile that, and I'll actually yeah, that's already put in there. And in this, I'll select this. I'll go rendering. Right, I don't want this hidden in game. Right, I want this to actually be visible. Cool Raptor is visible. So there's a reason for that, because I want to actually show the trigger box. So let's add a trigger box collision. So there's that box there, and let's make this. Oops. Well, let's make this a little bit bigger. And for the box, I'll go up here and I'll just type in rendering. right? Rendering, I want that visible for the sake of this video. So hit play, and yay, we have the box collision. Oops. So I'll go over here, and I'm gonna do this super basic. I'm not necessarily, I'm gonna have this above here, and I'm just gonna go back over to the blueprint here, go to the event graph, and I will drop in the audio component. This is the underwater audio component, and it's there. So what I want to do is I want to select this box, and I want to go down to the bottom here, and we will see on component begin overlap and on component end overlap. Very important. So there's that begin, and then component end overlap. So we enter the box, and when we leave the box. Very cool. This is pretty basic. When the character capsule enters the box, it will trigger something. You have to make sure that it's the player character. Like it could be something else, like a piece of debris getting in there. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna leave that. So let's go to our audio component, which the blueprint was based off of, underwater here. I'm going to drag off of this, and I'm just going to select param. I want to set parameter, and what was this parameter name called? Underwater. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's called underwater. I call it underwater filter, but I'll just call it underwater, right? Hope that doesn't confuse you. The parameter is called underwater, and the actual FMOD file is called underwater. I'm just going to call this I'll add a parameter underwater filter. Underwater space filter. That would be a lot more appropriate. And then I will build. Cool. So underwater filter. I'll name it like so. And this is the naming. You might be like, why is it naming? But it's actually super easy because you can have all of these in a data table or a struct, and you can be like, boom, 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 do these things, and it works out quite well for like a variety of different sounds. So yeah, you can have like a player state. And then when the player is in this state, select this index, set this parameter, and do something to this parameter, right? It's really useful. So when we are begin box overlap, so when we're overlapping with the box, we will set our value to 0, right? I'll explain this in a sec. And then I'll control and duplicate that. And when we end overlap, I want my value to be 1. Right, so that value of 0, value of 1. Well, why 0 and why 1? Well, this is the float value that I was talking about. When we go into our parameter, right? So there's this value here, 0, 1, and then all the fun stuff in between. That's essentially what that correlates to, right? So when we're inside the box, it is 0. When we are outside the box, it is 1. So yeah, let's give that a try. So when we enter the box, yeah, sound gets attenuated, and it's set to 0. And then when we leave, it's set back to 1. And that works out quite well, especially if you layer other sounds on top of it, right? When you want to, get into the sound design, and you'd want like a sploosh, like a one shot when you like emerge from the water, right? And then when you go back underwater, you want this to be filtered, and then you might want like a filtered sploosh with a bunch of bubbles, right? It's really brand new kind of frontier for me just thinking about these things. So the transition speed, if we want to, say if we are entering a cave, we don't want, this to be really abrupt, like right away. Because right now it's just snapping. It's snapping really quickly, and I'm actually going to put my character inside that. It's snapping really quickly, and it doesn't sound that nice. I want it to kind of fade in. So what we'll do is, we'll select the filter here, right? Selected. And we have this value here, the seek speed. Right now it's instant. I can set this to 5 seconds, really fast. So let's go, just for the sake of example, right? Say you're entering an area and you want it to be like a smooth transition to this ambient sound. You'll want, a seek speed that's a little bit slower. So file, build, that is set. So when this changes, when it goes from 0 to 1, like super fast, it will, interpolate that value very slowly and save on overhead. So check this out. Right, gives you a different feel, right? And to do that with alert is another step, but this way you get that kind of I guess vibe. I guess you can still use alert, and then this curve will be heard, but these sort of things are these sort of things are what we're kind of looking into. We can take it also maybe a step further. So we have this filter here. This will be, a peaking filter. We can adjust the gain with the same parameter. Kaboom. Right? So when we are underwater, I want that kind of full power. And we're above water, maybe I'll set that back to 0. So it kind of does that, right? Right, because there's more bass when you're underwater, essentially. And again, go in the bath. I know you just dried off, but go in the bath again, and you'll see there's more bass underwater. I could use a shelf for this as well, but these sort of things are interesting. And I don't need to set anything else up in Unreal Engine. This is just automatic because it's still the same parameter, right? You're controlling multiple things with the same parameter. So I will build, or press F7, and yeah. Right, really neat in my opinion. So let's attach. What's an Unreal Engine tutorial if we don't attach something to tick? So let's go. We'll go get parameter. No wait. Parameter value, and underwater filter. We can actually kind of see the value here. And we'll go event tick. So this will print out where the value is every frame, because that's just what we got to do here. So I'll just go final value, and we can actually see the value. Right? Really cool. And that's good for debugging and things like that. So that's useful for very abrupt changes. It also prevents filter zippering. It interpolates these values. It's very useful because, say, if you get like a frame hitch or something and you're sweeping through a value, it's just a safety net that will, FMOD, the engine will be like, okay, so we're here now, so let's just kind of buffer in this gentleness so we don't get that sort of thing. And these parameter values can be attached to many things. Yeah, we'll get into them if you wish. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.